Good morning and welcome to today's NMI webinar, where we've partnered up with Gatsby, UKESF, Middlesbrough College and 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 Levels today, which are a new high-quality technical qualification for 16 to 19-year-olds to give young people the skills they need to step directly into technical roles. So during this broadcast, we'll find out how engineering and manufacturing T-level students are helping business in the sector address long-standing skills shortages and boost productivity, and how you can help your business have virtual visibility. Can't even read my own handwriting. Virtual visibility and a challenging recruitment environment. We're going to be having questions at the end of the broadcast once all of the presentations have been done today. So if you're watching this broadcast live, if you've got any observations, comments, or questions, please put them in Zoom chat and we'll ask them to all of the participants today. So first up, I'm going to introduce my UKESF friend. He is Stu Edmondson, and he's going to take it from here. So Stuart, over to you.
Many thanks, Chris. Thanks for hosting this webinar. So Stuart Edmondson, as Chris said, I run the UK Electronic Skills Foundation, and we're currently doing two pieces of work, one around the whole workforce analysis in our sector, and a specific piece of work around manufacturing skills for a particular company in Cambridgeshire. And as part of that work, we're looking at vocational skills and technician level training. As part of that, it became really evident when we're doing the work that a lot of people are familiar with apprenticeships. However, employers in the sector are perhaps not as familiar with T-levels, and they offer a great entry route into our sector. So in part of this work, we got engaged with the Gatsby Foundation, who very pleased that Pip from the Gatsby is going to join us now and to explain a little bit more about T-levels as part of that bigger picture around vocational training and technician entry-level skills into our sector. Pip, thank you very much for joining the session today, and over to you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Stuart. So I'll just share my slides. And we'll be talking today a little bit about what T-levels are and how you as employers can get involved. So just as a little bit of an overview, Gatsby are a charitable foundation, and we're supporting the Department for Education in this project. So really looking at how we can implement T-levels across England. And we've partnered with a number of different trade organisations, including yourselves, who have hosted us very kindly today. As well as that, we are partnered with Engineering UK, Ingenuity, Make UK, and the Royal Academy of Engineering to sort of really raise awareness of T-levels and get the concept of them out there so that employers can understand the education landscape a little bit better. So I'm sure you'll be acutely aware of the skills gap within engineering and manufacturing. It's highly reported. Skills shortages and the skills gap have felt really strongly in the industry, and recruiting for entry-level roles and attracting young people into the sector has been recognised as a really key challenge. And as Stu alluded to there, we believe that T-levels may help start closing that skills gap. So by offering a T-level industry placement, employers get the opportunity to demonstrate the wide range of roles that are available within the sector to students before they leave education. So for many employers, this could mean essentially advertising your company to a much wider pool of interested, motivated young people a full 2 years before they might enroll on an apprenticeship aged 18. So really great opportunity there. To give you an idea of further education as it stands, so if you are 16 years old and you've just finished your GCSEs, you'll be looking at doing a couple of different options. So you might have considered A-levels, which are a very traditional academic learning pathway. You might be considering a work-based learning pathway like an apprenticeship, or you could be considering a technical education pathway. So T-levels falls into that. So T-levels are a 2-year technical program based at your local school or college. So they're a full-time education course. Students spend 80% of their time in the classroom learning. And we say classroom, but they're workshops, they're sort of multimodal trading facilities. You know, they're really, it's not just classroom as you might imagine it. And 20% of those 2 years is spent on an industry placement. The industry placement really is the cornerstone of a T-level, and it allows students to build attitudes and behaviours as well as develop practical skills. The T-levels themselves a student just chooses one. So instead of A levels where you might choose 3 subjects, over your 2 years of a T level, you just choose the 1 subject, and they've got a very broad core, and then the opportunity to specialise in an occupational specialism, which I'll come on to a little bit more in a minute. And that 1 T level is equivalent in size to 3 A levels, so they're quite bulky courses. They are examined very rigorously, and they're a very high quality course, which means that they can lead on to a number of different progression routes. So a student who's done a T level could go on to higher education, so they could do an undergraduate degree or a higher technical qualification. They could go into skilled employment, or they could do a higher level apprenticeship. And we're commonly seeing now students going into level 4, 5, 6 apprenticeships after they've coming out of their T level qualifications. So a lot of different potential opportunities for students who are on these courses. T levels are part of the technical education system. Technical education is also where apprenticeships fall into, and there are 15 different routes. This is a screenshot from the Institute for Apprenticeships and Technical Education occupational maps, which is a mouthful to say. IFATE, as they're known, and they will become part of Skills England in the next couple of years. So these occupational maps are essentially what apprenticeship standards are mapped to. So the occupational standards are also what T levels are mapped to. So there's a really nice synergy between T levels and apprenticeships, if you're familiar with apprenticeships as well. They are formed based on standard occupational classifications and have been put together through sort of extensive engagement with stakeholders, including employers and professional bodies. So they're really great industry-led and industry-informed education system, so that we know T levels can hopefully help fill that skills gap. So that's where they're particularly strong education choice for a young person looking at a technical route. It's worth noting that the routes are grouped by occupation and not by subsector. So as an employer within this industry, you might find that occupations in your organisation fall into a few different routes. So if you've got support staff that might be working in business and administration or in HR, then there's a business and administration route. If you're got manufacturing staff, that obviously falls into engineering and manufacturing, and science and so on. So we'll have a little think about how that might work for your industry. So I've pulled out a couple of different example occupations that could lead to, so where the different T levels can lead to different technical occupations. So there are about 20 different T levels to choose from at the moment. So it's quite a wide variety that students can pick from. So if you were to think about where the skills gap were in your organisation that you're trying to fill, you can sort of work backwards and see which T levels you might be interested in considering for industry placement. So we've got some examples here. So if you were looking at HR or people management, you could look for students from a business and administration T level. If you were looking for software engineers or digital data analysts, you could look at the digital production design and development, which is one of the digital routes T levels. If you were looking for manufacturing technicians, you could look at the any of the 3 engineering T levels, but for example, engineering, manufacturing, processing, and control. And if you were looking for laboratory and clean room technicians, as an example, you could look to the science T level. So there's quite a variety out there. Today, I'm just going to focus on the engineering and manufacturing T levels. From a personal perspective, I'm an engineer by background, so it's something that I know a little bit more about. But also, given the partners that we're working with and the acute skills gap within engineering and manufacturing, it's the sort of focus, and we think there's good opportunity within this sector to support these T levels as well. So, what do T levels look like? As a little bit of a summary. Within the subject, a student will study a common core. So this is specifically for engineering and manufacturing, I should say. There is a shared core between all 3 of the subjects, but each of the subjects and then the area has a core, typically that lasts about the first year of teaching. And then a student will choose an occupational specialism. So they'll just pick one from a list of a few, and then they also do their industry placement. The engineering and manufacturing T levels, there are 3 of them, and they started delivery in 2022. So we've just had our first set of graduates coming out of those qualifications now. So if you've had any recent CVs, you might have seen some people in early careers positions with a T level qualification looking at your industry. So that's something to keep an eye on there. It's also worth noting that the T levels in engineering and manufacturing are 50% practical and 50% theoretical. So it's got a really nice grounding of a lovely balance between the two different areas. Students cover quite a broad base of learning within this. And as I said earlier, it's a really high quality qualification. So the examinations that the students do and the coursework types that the students do are rigorously tested. So it's quite a high caliber of student that comes out of with these qualifications. It's also worth knowing that there's an estimated 6,000 students currently enrolled in T levels across England. It is an England only qualification, so it's not currently being delivered in Wales and Scotland. And the engineering manufacturing ones are particularly popular. So between year 1 of delivery and year 2, there was an increase of students in 80% increase. So there will be more and more students taking this qualification. So definitely one to look out for. The 3 different engineering manufacturing T levels available are engineering manufacturing processing and control, which is the green one you can see on the left of the screen here, maintenance, installation and repair for engineering manufacturing, which is the orange in the middle, and also design and development for engineering and manufacturing, which you can see on the right-hand side. Now, as I said earlier, the core of the T level is actually the same throughout the 3 of these subjects. That's quite unusual within T levels. So every student that is studying any of these 3 will study things like engineering principles, health and safety, computer-aided design, quality management, business awareness, stock and asset management, amongst lots of other things. The occupational specialism they can then choose to do. So they would pick one out of the list of these here. So different colleges will offer different T levels and will offer different occupational specialisms, but broadly these are the things that are on offer at the moment. And then obviously there's the industry placement as well, which we'll come on to in a moment. If you're particularly interested in looking at the specific contents, these T levels are delivered by the awarding organisation is City and Guilds. So they've got the full curriculums specifications on their website if you want to have a look and sort of delve into it a little bit more deeply. So the industry placement, as I mentioned earlier, it really is the cornerstone of the T level. So for students, it provides them an opportunity to get really valuable experience in the workplace where they can put their skills into action in a meaningful way. It gives them in-depth insight into their chosen industry and gives you as an employer a unique opportunity to help develop new talent in your industry as well. So you can really help shape that student's experience whilst they're on the industry placement to get what you need out of them and also to show them what potential is out there. So industry placements have a lot of flexibility built into them. They've been designed with schools and colleges to suit the employer needs as well as their own needs. Every student that does a T level has to do an industry placement, so they are compulsory. So they last for a minimum of 315 hours. It's about 45 working days, or it would be 9 weeks if you did it in block. If you did it in block placement, but there's a lot of flexibility. So you can do it as a day release. So students can typically do sort of 2 days at a time with an organisation. You could do it in a mixed release. So you could say take a student on for a week to begin with to do sort of onboarding and things like that. And then they can come in sort of regularly throughout the year at that point. They can also be taken at any point over the 2-year course. So they can be adapted for seasonal work as well as using a range of delivery approaches. There's a whole list of delivery approaches on this screen. So there's lots of different options out there. Things like joining up with another employer. So a student can split their time between two different places, or using part-time work if you've got a young person already working with you who's doing their T level. That could already count towards their T level placement. So there's a few different options really. Many students also start their industry placement towards the start of their 2nd year and do a couple of days a week. So that for engineering and manufacturing gives you quite a unique opportunity to, if you were to be involved in sort of shaping some of that curriculum with shaping some of the examples and things that students get delivered to them as part of the curriculum, you could say, we want students who have done X subject. So thinking about a specific health and safety aspect, for example, before they come to us. Well, there's the opportunity to build that in as well. So quite a nice thing there. And then some students continue to do their placements during their holidays as well. So if you wanted a student to come at a specific seasonal time where you know that you may have more flexibility, or working up to a specific point where you know that it's going to be busy and actually you could do with an extra hand, then colleges will do their best to try and accommodate that as well. So thinking about industry placement employers, there are a whole host of benefits for why you might want to host an industry placement. The biggest one, I suppose, is talent spotting. So we can go through these in a little bit more detail here. Really, with the industry placement, it allows you to identify future employees. So most employers will see this opportunity as an extended interview. So if you are already bringing on apprentices, for example, and you find apprenticeship quite difficult, apprentices quite difficult to recruit for, the industry placement gives you potentially a full 45 days to really get to know a person before they would start with your workplace. So it's a really vital opportunity to help understand a potential candidate before they join you. And of course, that can really benefit your recruitment and keep them on board with you for quite a bit longer. As part of that, that can help reduce expensive and time-consuming recruitment activity and costs, and support your planning for the future. So if you know that you're going to bring in industry placement students and you have an aim for bringing in apprentices at, let's say, level 4, level 5, level 6, then you can time it so that it all works really nicely together and really solidify that talent pipeline. So there's an incredibly strong strategic benefit to it in that respect. Being part of a local community, so where particularly if you're a large employer or if there are a group of employers who have a very strong sort of geographic link, as there often are with semiconductor employers, from my understanding, there's a real opportunity here to demonstrate the wider contribution that your business makes to the community and build those links into the community. There is, of course, an opportunity to really highlight the social value as well for ESG reporting. So if you're putting tenders together and things like that, it can be really beneficial in that respect. But ultimately, you can contribute to your organization's social responsibility and reputation. So it's a really nice thing to be able to do to sort of ground your organization in the local community. Building partnerships, obviously by working with a school or college, you naturally would build up a two-way exchange. So the institution themselves will gain broader insight into your industry, which means that they will be more able to help shape the kind of skills that you would want to see for young people coming out of education into your local area, and ultimately really help to build your business needs. It also benefits them in the fact that if you're using really high-tech equipment, let's say, or they may have teachers who may not be necessarily aware of your subject area and your specialism, then it can really help highlight that to teachers and advertise those careers to young people much more visibly. So really increase visibility, which obviously is a benefit overall anyway. Different perspectives. Students often come with a completely different experience and take on life because they are young people and because they are coming into your workplace with a different set of experiences than your existing staff may already have, and that can be a massive benefit in itself. So particularly of emerging trends and bringing new ideas into the business, you know, coming in with a pair of fresh eyes can be a massive asset. So something to think about in that respect. And it's also worth noting that students will quite quickly acquire new knowledge to help really boost and make a real contribution to the team as well. And as as an additional resource. Gosh, that's a tricky one to say. So particularly if you're picking up second year students, they are really ready and raring to go and step into your business from the get-go. We've spoken to a lot of employers who are already hosting T-level industry placement students, and they say do not underestimate the impact that they can have on productivity. Productivity can go up because of an industry placement student, and it often does. They can be really helpful from the get-go. And also it's worth noting that schools and colleges have invested a large amount of money and resources into the technology and the knowledge and the skills that they equip the students with to prepare them for coming into your workplace. So they know their stuff when these students are coming in. Yes, they'll have to do onboarding and things like that, but once they're into the workplace, they can be incredibly productive. And then, of course, staff development. So it's a really valuable mentoring opportunity for staff, particularly younger members of staff or staff who are earlier on in their sort of career, to build their own professional development, building up their communication and leadership skills, and also, as I mentioned, sort of upskilling your existing staff's technical training by linking them up with your local college as well. So worthwhile thinking about it in that respect. And of course, working with young people can be really inspiring for people. So we hear a lot where, particularly in engineering and manufacturing, where there is a difficulty in many areas around an aging workforce, seeing young people coming into the industry and being able to nurture that interest and mentor them through can be incredibly inspiring for somebody who is quite far on in their career. So really nice in terms of that as well, sort of staff well-being aspect. So industry placements in practice. There are some commonly perceived barriers to hosting industry placement, things that you might think, oh, here's my reason why it might be tricky for me. So things that are commonly cited are planning. People have concerns around safety critical environments, so health and safety in the workplace, security critical environments, how do you get people into secure workplaces, working with under 18s if you're not familiar with it, and that progression, how do you progress somebody into the workplace? You'll be pleased to know that I've got a couple of responses to some of these. They are things that we hear a lot, but it's worthwhile knowing that there are already a huge number of students in workplaces across England who are working in environments just like the ones that you have in your workplace. So they are very much overcomeable, if that's a word. You can overcome them. So thinking about staff capacity, well, as I've mentioned earlier, industry placements have been built to be flexible. We also talked about the potential for bringing in students to accommodate around seasonal work, and the fact that many employers that I've worked with and spoken to directly say that students are boosting their staff capacity. So instead of it being onerous, it's actually an enormous benefit. A number of the employers that I've spoken to have said that they can either put T-level placement students working directly on projects that are sort of skill level appropriate for them and just they can crack on, or they're able to take projects off the shelf. So things that the existing staff haven't had time to do, they can allocate to a T-level student, and that project can be reinvigorated because of that additional resource of having that young person in the business. Progression. So we talked about earlier that the student can go from a T-level into a higher level apprenticeship. There's also the opportunity to go into a level 3 apprenticeship. And if there is overlap between the T-level content and the level 3 apprenticeship content, you can accelerate that apprenticeship as well. So you could potentially get a young person into your business quite a lot faster than you were expecting, which has positive financial benefits in terms of reducing the cost, particularly the staffing cost of paying for a first or second year apprentice. So there's really strong potential there, and obviously by advertising your industry to essentially advertising your industry to a young person who is 16 to 19 on a T level, it means that they could well be just joining your industry earlier on. So instead of having them go to other places first and then sort of find you later on in their career pathway, you could potentially have an employee with the right skill set much faster than you would normally envision, which in itself is a tremendous benefit. Safety critical work, probably the number one cited thing that employers will say is they're concerned about health and safety. There's an awful lot to be said for the workshop environments that the schools and colleges have, and the amount of training and skills and knowledge that students build up before they even come into the workplace. There are a lot of students in many different organisations across the country who are doing things all the way from sort of heavy industry, so welding and running large CNC machines, all the way through to sort of high-tech assembly, working with high-tech machinery. So we have students, I know of students who have worked with WNG, so within advanced manufacturing facilities and things like that. We also have students who've worked in security critical places of work, so like the MOD in defence, students who've gone into the nuclear, done placements within the nuclear industry. So all it comes down to essentially is working out the kind of tasks that you would want help with, that a student is able to do, matching that with assistance from the college around what a job description could look like for them, and then having the health and safety wraparound sort of risk assessments and paperwork that goes alongside that. And that is very much part of the normal course of being an employer and having appropriate health and safety risk assessments anyway. Anything that is appropriate for a new member of staff or a first or second year apprentice would be appropriate for a T-level student in this case. So it's really not quite as prohibitive as you might think it would be. Financial concerns, there's no fee to take on students, so it's different to apprenticeships. You don't have to pay the student. There's no obligation to pay them. And the long-term benefits of investing in future talent and any sort of little upfront cost that might come with onboarding far outweighs the short-term costs implications. So there's, as we've talked about, a lot of benefits that go along with this. Under 18s, it's just worthwhile noting that many engineering manufacturing companies take under 18 apprentices as normal practice. There are no barriers regarding insurance, so long as you can justify to your insurance organisation that you've got adequate health and safety and risk assessments in place. They will be happy with it. The colleges are there to support you with safeguarding, and if you are in a secure work environment, you can either have a think about what other environments within your workplace are not secure and would be appropriate for a student. Or, as I said, we've had students doing work with the MOD. Sometimes it just comes down to adequate supervision when they're moving through secure spaces and checking IT protocols and things like that. So it doesn't have to be quite as worrisome as you might think it would be. There is actually quite a lot of opportunity for a young person in the workplace to do this kind of work. And schools and colleges have this huge amount of experience, and they will be able to guide you through a lot of that, as I'm sure Emma will be able to attest to as well. Equally, industry, professional and trade bodies often provide guidance on how to bring young people into the workplace, so worthwhile thinking about that. And finally, on time constraints, well, the time you put into organising industry placements and onboarding students is well worth it. And of course, once you've done the process once, it becomes much easier for the next time because you've already got everything laid out. So if you wanted to find out more, first place we recommend is the employers.tlevels.gov.uk website. You can see a screenshot of that on the left. Broadly speaking, the process for getting involved is finding a school or college and finding the right student. You can have a little bit of think before you even get to that point, actually, around the sorts of tasks that you might benefit from a student helping you with, and start firming up a bit of a job description that you can then go to the college and work on collaboratively with them, and they'll support you with it. And then, of course, you'll agree the placement and bring the student in. So it's actually a fairly straightforward process, and we've had a lot of employers say that, and I'm sure Sarah will attest to that as well. So finally, just a quick word on the employer projects that Gatsby does. So we've been involved with a number of different trade associations across a few different sort of subsectors within engineering and manufacturing to try and unpick some specific barriers that that employers have found. So we've worked on accelerated apprenticeships with the National Skills Academy for Food and Drink. We've worked on security critical environment, how you deliver industry placements within those environments with the Nuclear Skills Strategy Group and also with the MOD. And we are currently looking at safety critical work environments. So with the Workboat Association, looking at, for example, how we get students onto work placements on boats. So all sorts of exciting stuff. So if there is a specific worry that you think, I just can't get, I can't unpick this myself and I need someone to talk to about it, you are very welcome to contact me directly. I'm sure my contact details will be on this presentation, and we can help discuss that with you as well. I've mentioned already the partners that we're supported by in this project, and of course, if you want to find out more about education in England, as well as other ideas you can engage with education providers, please do check out the Education Landscape. They've got some fantastic resources online. That's educationlandscape.org.uk. And my contact details are at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pip. So next up, we've got Sarah Bradbury of Nexperia. I will hand over to you straight away, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Just let me know when you can see my slides.
We can see your slides, Sarah.
Yeah,
thank you,
Sarah.
Thanks very much. Hi, good morning. Thank you very much, Pip. My name's Sarah Bradbury and I am the Learning and Development Manager at Nexperia UK. and we are new to the game of T Levels, but very, very happy that we've been introduced to them. So I'm going to talk to you this morning about our experience so far with the T Level programs. But first of all, I'll just give you a bit of an overview of Nexperia. So we are a manufacturer of semiconductors, and we're based in Stockport in Hazel Grove. A few key facts here around our organisation. So annual revenue of 2.4 billion, which equates to around 9.4% the market share of semiconductors. We employ more than 14,000 people globally, and we are making more than 100 billion units annually. So we are based in Manchester, so one of 5 factories. We're a front-end facility along with our other facility in Hamburg, Germany. And then we have 3 back-end facilities based in the Philippines, China, and Malaysia. So a few facts around our Manchester site. So we are a prominent employer in the UK technology sector, and we've been based in Hazel Grove for more than 50 years. Leading manufacturer of power semiconductors, and as I said previously, employing more than 1,000 people on our site. So one of the tools that we use as part of our learning and development landscape is our on-site training academy. So we like to grow our own talent, dipping into the fund, and also we've had lots of other links with young talent around internships or graduate programs or apprenticeship schemes. So going into the T-level area just feels like a natural progressive step for our organisation, and naturally looks like another rung on our technical career ladder. So the introduction of T-levels at Nexperia has been a really good way for our current student to gain hands-on experience within a real-life setting. And the process has been really, really simple. It's included identifying the types of roles that we feel are suitable for T-level students, making sure that we've got mentors within those areas, and then meeting with the managers to understand what projects are available and what learning outcomes they would like to achieve by offering a T-level student placement. So the process that we've been through to get to this point of employing our first T-level student was, first of all, identifying any suitable placements within our organisation, communicating what a T-level was, and looking at opportunities with the department heads for which placements we would have available, creating really simple job descriptions. And then we took the opportunity to meet with lots of local learning providers and find out which students were out there, and then match them with the placements that we had available within our organisation. A really quick and simple interview process, start of the placement, and then hopefully, as I said previously, creating another level to our technical career ladder at Nexperia. So the first placement that we have is a student that is undertaking a DSS cybersecurity and networking T-level. And that student is from the Manchester College. And we identified 3 projects that this person would be able to undertake. And we're having a really positive experience so far. I think that is all of my slides. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much indeed. Next, we move on to Middlesbrough College, where we've got, where are we? Emma Richards. Emma Richards, you're up next. I'll hand straight over to yourself.
Hi there. Thank you for that, Sarah and Pip. Pip, if you can start sharing my slides, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. So my name's Emma. I manage T-levels across construction and engineering across the college. We do manage the highest level of T-levels within engineering across the UK. So we do have around over 100 T-levels within our college, looking for industry placements within engineering. I'm just going to go through the slide and we'll take it from there, if that's okay, Pip.
The sound's not working.
Yeah, I was about to say, Emma, we've not got the audio on it.
Is the audio not working on it?
It's not coming through, no.
Is it coming through your end, Pip?
You're on mute, Pip.
Yes, it is. And I wonder if it's because I'm on mute. If you bear with me just a second, I shall just restart it. And if you can give me a thumbs up if the sound is working.
Well,
Thanks, Pip.
27219.
no,
No
you
audio,
get
I'm
background noise
afraid.
in your office, Pip, but not the audio.
Apologies. Sorry about that. Would you like me to flick it onto the next slide? Or we can have the subtitles up?
No, I can see if I can get it working from my end, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, they were just out. The ones that were in. Yeah. No, they're all just new. Because I don't want to put them in because I know that I need to do them with the students. But
I won't keep you a second.
So I just checked them and they all just need students. Yeah. Have you got any spare pictures? They send me what I'm saying. They're all just on the shelf. I'll show you.
Sorry, Pip, I'm just trying to get it to work in my end. I won't be a moment.
Pip, just whilst we're waiting, Stu actually had an observation whilst you were talking. He said, "Great overview, Pip." He said, "It was good to hear you address some of the perceived barriers that we hear from employers like H&S and under 18s. However, where are we? However, are you able to clarify about salaries?" He says, "My understanding is that T-level students on placement aren't employees as such. Therefore, do employers pay them a salary or not during their placements?"
Okay, so that's a really good question. So it's less, you're correct in that they're not employees, but the reason why they're not employees is that they're in full-time education, and that's why you don't have to pay them. So they're different to apprentices in that respect. So the T-level, because it's a full-time education course, the industry placement is part of that course. They don't classify them as employees. So you're under no obligation to pay them. What I will say is that we have had some employers who offer to pay them. So whether that's a wage or whether that is expenses. So for example, if you're an employer who's based in quite a rural area or with sort of limited transport routes, and you feel like it would be beneficial to help that young person get some of their expenses for transport over to your place of work, then you could do that, but there's no obligation to do that because of that. Because they're in full-time education.
Okay. Edmondson, maybe are we?
Sorry. No, 1 second. Sorry, Pip. Could you just stop sharing your screen, please, and I'll see if I can share mine while you're talking. Thank you. There you go. You can start again. Sorry, Chris.
I was just about to ask Stu if you can come on camera for a second. I think you'd be the one best placed to answer a question that I actually have. So obviously T-levels is for English youngsters. I was wondering if there's anything similar in Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, or if anything's actually existing or in the pipeline.
You're right, Chris. Skills as part of the wider education and qualifications is devolved, and therefore each devolved administration does it differently. It's because of that educational funding and approach, it is different, that there are still, if you like, the traditional vocational qualifications and routes in the devolved areas. So this is just an England initiative. There are similar ones associated with apprenticeships and vocational qualifications, but they're not T-levels as such.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, where are we with this video, I wonder? Any joy, Emma? I think we're going to have to abandon the video, I'm afraid.
Sorry, I do apologise. It won't bring it up. I do apologise.
Right.
I think
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Is it working your end now?
Say that again, sorry?
Can you see it your end now?
We can certainly see the slide that you've got up at the moment.
Yeah. Can you see that now? No, it's not going to work. So I'll just go through the slide if that's okay.
Yeah, just go through the slides in a sort of traditional way if that doesn't derail things, Emma. And yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay, that's lovely. Sorry about that. I do apologise. I think it's because I'm in Zoom and not actually on Teams, so it's not sharing properly. So I do apologise. I think Pip's actually gone through an awful lot of what I was going to go through in relation. She's done a really good job of explaining what a T level is. Like Pip said, that we do have to have our students complete 45 days within work placement to actually complete their T level course. So for whatever reason, if that student doesn't complete the 45 days and they've done fantastically well on the course, they actually wouldn't get the full qualification at the end of that course. It's a unique opportunity to help develop new talent within the industry, like Pip said again, and an opportunity for young people to put their learning, knowledge and skills into practice in a real workplace environment. A lot of our students that do go out on work placement, when we're doing our assessments with them students, they really do advise how what they've been learning in college has actually come to light. It's like a light bulb situation when they're out there on the work placement, because what they're learning, they're actually doing within a workplace and environment. So that really is helpful for the students as well. So the benefits is resolve, like Pip said, resolve entry-level skill shortages, improve recruitment and it's cost effective because you're not going through the costly recruitment companies that are out there looking for your future staff. It's part of a recruitment drive from our end. Increase retention rates across the business. Develop brand values and cultures. So bringing obviously new students into your companies develops your branding and the values that you're looking for. Shape the direction of your business with, like Pip said, with new talent, they're going to bring new ideas. So our responsibilities within our college is that we do have regular contact with our employers. From the moment that employer advises that they can accommodate a T-level placement, they will have a mentor from within my team, within our college, that will mentor that company as well as that student along the way. We do contact calls with the employers to make sure everything's going okay and the students are turning up on time and their attitudes and behaviours are meeting expectations. We have regular assessments, so we do a beginning, a mid and an end assessment with the employer and the actual company itself. And then we give feedback questionnaires to the employers to make sure that we're fulfilling everything that they need as well, and make sure that we're preparing the students. So from the start, we generally go out to our students, advise them of the opportunity that we have, and we use a system which is called 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗏, which is a bit like an Indeed jobs board. And that student actually has to look on that jobs board and apply for that T-level placement themselves. We then would go through generating CVs from the students and send them over to the companies for them to look through, and then go through an interview process with the students and the companies. So the employee responsibilities is, like Pip said, if you can put a job role together for the student, and we can actually go through that with the students when we're going out there, advising that this opportunity is available to them. Prepare in advance. So it's just to make sure that between ourselves and the company that we make sure that they're prepared of what the students actually studying and how they can actually bring that to light in the workplace. We would then arrange an induction for the student. And from our end, we monitor the attendance. So each time that student goes out to their work placement, they do need to put the attendance on an app, which comes through to us on a weekly basis. The company themselves also has to accept that students actually attended them hours. So for whatever reason, if the student put down they were attending 7 hours that week and they actually only attended 5, the company would then readjust that, and it would ping over to ourselves via an email to say the student actually only done 5 hours this week, or the student actually didn't attend, and that's where we can pick something up straight away with that student and company. The student responsibilities is that we do set clear objectives with the students. We sit down with them. We put our objectives in place in relation to what they're going to be doing whilst they're actually on the placements, and what we expect of them whilst they're actually on the placement itself. we track the progress throughout the placement. So when the student goes out, the system that we use is, like say, a 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗲 system. So when they come back after each time they've been out on placement, they do need to do a short little response of what they've done that day, what their activities were, and if they can take pictures, take the pictures before and after pictures and upload them onto our 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗲 system, and that can track the progress of what they've done throughout the placement. It kind of builds a CV portfolio for them, and as I say, maintain professional standards at all time. We make it very clear that this is like being in a real work environment. So they do need to make sure that the communication is clear with the employer and ourselves if they can't attend for whatever reason, and they're making sure that they have them professional attitudes each time that they go out. As Pip's went through, we do have lots of different T-level areas within Middlesbrough College. It's a very large college, but across our engineering specialisms, we've got electrical, mechanical, and mechatronic and instrumentation. So we've got a vast range of engineering T-level programs, and that will just keep continuing to grow over the coming years. So some of the questions that we get asked from employers is, do you need to pay the student? Like Pip said, you don't need to pay that student. If you want to pay that student with it, you certainly can, but it's certainly not something that you must do. If you feel that student is really shining and they deserve a little bit of pay to help them keep continuing, then that's fine by ourselves, and obviously brilliant for the student itself, but that's not, you don't have to do that. How are industry placements different to short work placements? So within our college itself, within the first year, the students have 1 day off college per week to attend their placement. Like Pip said, we generally send them out within the second week, and that generally gives them 2 days off college a week to attend their placement, and then hopefully go out in some block weeks if the companies can accommodate that within the college holidays, or when curriculum is not so heavy in the actual classroom. So short work placements, BTEC learners, which we try and get out at least 1 week's work placement throughout their course, so they do get some hands-on experience, but this is more the difference is they're going to get a lot more hands-on experience whilst they're doing the T-level placement with that 45 days, and it also benefits the company getting to know them students longer term as well. There's not a lot of paperwork. We fill in all the paperwork for you. The only paperwork that really needs filling in is at the beginning, which is our health and safety documents, which we fill in, and as long as employer has employees liability insurance, then they're ready to go to take a work placement student on. Within relation to the assessing, it's not an in-depth assessment. It's not like an apprenticeship assessment. It's more about getting to know how them students are gaining work experience whilst they're on the T-level placement. Are their attitudes and behaviours good? Is the confidence growing whilst they're on the placement? Have you seen progress as they've been coming along to the work placement? How can you balance T-level with core business activities? Realistically, the student fits in with yourselves. Whatever you're doing that day, that student will fit in to do that, because it's not an apprenticeship guidance in relation to how it's assessed. It is about getting the industry experience for the students itself, and getting their confidence built up within the workplace. What support will you receive? You do receive a mentor within college who you'll have continued support with via telephone, email, whichever communication method is best for yourself. And there's always somebody within the team on hand to be able to support you with that. And health and safety. All of our students within engineering go through the CCNSG safety site course before they actually go out on their work placement. So they're already site safety ready to go out for their work placement before they actually go out to a company. So I don't know if you've got any questions towards that.
Thank you very much, Sarah. What we'll now do is, if everybody could come on camera, so yourself, Sarah, and Stu, if we can welcome you back as well. And what I'll do is Brady Bunchups. So we're on the screen together. Adam, I'll start with you because we've not heard from you today in the broadcast. You're traveling all over the UK speaking to NMI members each and every day. So obviously you speak to a lot of NMI members in England who are employers. What's your reaction to what you've been hearing today?
Well, first and foremost, it's very common to hear from industry in our sector about the skills gap and how it's an issue. It's a difficulty to bring new engineers into the workforce for our industry. So what we've heard today is that T levels are already being used in our sector from 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗧. So it's something that can definitely be utilised. But what I can understand is that, from what I know of the T level program, is that it's a great way to enhance your workforce whilst also giving access to education and a desire to keep fulfilling the engineering role of these young engineers. With that, what I would say is that it's just an alternative way for employers to look for some workforce and bridge that gap, whilst also developing young engineers and giving that spark to continue in the industry.
All right, thank you very much for that answer, Adam. Stu, you had some comments on Zoom chat. I think it was a reaction to Emma from 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂, but I may as well let you ask those to her yourself.
Thanks. It was really great to hear from you, Sarah, and to understand that you're integrating T levels into your experience pipeline. It was really just, and you shared the processes, which is really helpful. I just wondered whether you could share from your perspective. We heard from Emma about how placements are divided up, like 45 days, 315 hours divided. I just wondered from your point of view, how are you making that work? And also a little bit about are you doing anything special in terms of induction, given that they are under 18s? Thank you.
Okay. So I think how the placement will look will be on a case-by-case basis, dependent on which days the student needs to be in college, and also, which days our mentors can be on site to be buddied up with the students. So for the particular student that we have at the moment, it's a 2-day-a-week placement until May 2025. But we wouldn't rule out having a block or having, 1 day a week. I think this experience is new to 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂, and it's probably going to be new to the student. So we're definitely, going to learn as we go. And we will probably have different students on different rotas, all with very different looking placements, just so that, both the college and 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 can be flexible. In terms of the induction process, we already have a very robust induction process for young people because we employ a lot of apprentices, i.e. 16-year-old apprentices. So we mirrored the induction that we already have in place for our apprentices.
Okay, you're able to leverage that. That's good to hear. Yeah. And do you see that you see a definite progression from T levels onto, as Pip said, accelerated apprenticeships?
Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely.
Great.
It just seems such an obvious route, if you've got a T level placement within that area, would you be planning to have an apprenticeship within that area in the future? Seems like such an obvious route.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Sarah and Stuart. So, Pip, I'm an NMI member watching this broadcast today, and I'm very interested in T levels. What's the next step? Who do I contact? Where do I go from here?
Well, one of the first things we would suggest is to go on to the Department for Education's website, so employers.tlevels.gov.uk, and on there they've got a search function where you can put in your postcode, so your place of work, to find out who your local providers are. There's a strong chance that if you've got a family, you might actually know some of your local education providers if you've got kids who are college age, so you can always have a look at their websites and see if they're offering T levels or have a chat with them. So that's one way of doing it. Alternatively, if there's anything you want to discuss, they could reach out to yourselves at NMI and you could put them in touch with me or anything like that for a little bit of extra help if there's anything in specific that they want to chat about and sort of have a bit of an open conversation about. I should say the Department for Education also do offer the opportunity for employers to have a chat with them, with one of their contracted organisations called SDN, to do a little bit of training. They do a lot around mentoring skills. So if that's an area that the organisation is looking to sort of build up, they may be able to help with that. But we can do a recommendation to them, or they also recommend to us. We do a lot of very much sector-specific guidance and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Emma, so we've only got a couple more minutes left in the broadcast now, but one final sales pitch. I'm an NMI member. Again, I'm interested in T levels. I now know how to get in touch and initiate this, but I'm still having a few reservations. Sell it to me.
Right, okay. Well, as I say, I think we've discussed quite a lot of it over this call, but absolutely fantastic way to recruit new staff within your business without costing you any money whatsoever. You do have a robust plan in place with the college, so that if you have any issues at all that occur with that student, it is something that we can discuss straight away. If you sign up for a T-level student, that's not something that you need to, if that student doesn't fit your business when you first come in, it's not like an apprenticeship where you've signed it up, you've done all the paperwork. If that student just doesn't fit in with that company because of whatever reason, we can then look at that student and maybe put another student in place for you, to a student that's going to be more fit more in with that business itself. And as I say, it's cost effective in relation to your recruitment process, really. Getting to know that student and guiding and mentoring that student from a very young age into your business.
All right, thank you. And Sarah, I'll give the last word to you because we're now really approaching the end. Again, same question to you. I'm an NMI member. I'm interested in T levels. Sell it to me.
Okay, I think that T levels are a fantastic opportunity for an employer to have a fantastic pipeline into their young talent area of the business.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Just before we go, I want to speak to Stuart and Adam because next month, NMI's parent company, which is TechWorks, is having a black tie dinner and awards night in London at the very plush Royal Lancaster Hotel. Stuart, I think you're there pretty much every year. You're responsible for a couple of the awards. Adam, I think the NMI has got a couple of specific awards as well. Stu, what role in the evening and what are you going to be recognised for?
Well, thanks for raising that, Chris. That's appreciate the opportunity. We celebrate two things. One is we present the award to our UKSF Undergraduate Scholar of the Year at those awards. I'll also be presenting the TechWorks Young Engineer of the Year. So that recognises people that are under 30 who've made an exceptional contribution to their company. So that's that award. What we're doing especially this year is we're saying thank you to the people who've helped us with our Girls into Electronics programme. This summer we had 12 events hosted at our different partner universities. Almost 400 girls, these are 15 to 17-year-olds in secondary school thinking about careers in technology, and we gave them an insight into electronics. So we're actually saying thank you to the universities and companies that helped us do that. So three things, all to do with young people. It'd be great in the future to recognise apprenticeships and people doing exceptional things in T levels as this expands.
All right, absolutely fantastic. We'll see you there on the night. And Adam, NMI has got 2 awards to dish out on that very special evening, don't they?
We do. So NMI, as you know, is the National Microelectronics Institute. We're associated basically with the chip manufacturing community within the UK, but also the associated supply chain. So our 2 awards are the NMI Manufacturing Site of the Year and also the NMI Supplier of the Year. So I'm sure there may be some of the manufacturers on here today. So please make sure to put your hat in the ring, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the event.
All right, fantastic. I think, Pip, you said on your slides that you had contact details for anybody interested in T levels, but do you want to just give those out specifically one last time?
Yes, so the DFE's website is employers.tlevels.gov.uk, and you're welcome to email me. My email address is 𝗲𝗂𝗶𝗆𝗆𝗃𝗏. Yeah, 𝗲𝗂𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂@gatsby.org.uk. Gosh, that's a long name. But we'll make sure if there's an email that goes out afterwards, I'll make sure it's available to you all.
Oh, I've got plenty of syllables going on in my name as well, and I can never remember my work email address as well, so you're not alone. Right, thank you very much to everybody who's taken part in today's broadcast. Sarah, Pip, Stuart, Adam from NMI, and Emma as well. Thank you to everybody who's been watching this broadcast today, and if you're interested in T Levels, you now know everything about it, hopefully, and who to contact. So thank you very much for watching today's NMI broadcast.